Hello. I am so delighted and honored to welcome you, the class of 2020, and your families, on behalf of the graduated class, or just graduated class of 2016, and these wonderful colleagues and friends that make up the DePauw faculty seated behind me. I cannot wait for you to get to meet them and get to know them. And I know I speak for them when I say we are so happy that you're here. Welcome. Really, watching you all stream in just now, and watching you all gathered here from our vantage point up here on the stage, I know that many of my colleagues are thinking the same thing I am. And I mean this very sincerely. You all are a sight for very sore eyes. You might wonder, sore eyes? Aren't we just coming off of a summer of, productivity and hopefully some rest? Didn't we just get in some family time and kind of read for pleasure, maybe travel a little bit? Most importantly, not have to grade a thing for like 3 months. It was great. So why sore eyes? Just kidding, we love grading. All right. You're right. It actually has probably been a pleasant summer for most of us. Hopefully for all of us, and for you too. But it's been hard to ignore what's been happening in the rest of the world. As a political scientist who specializes in international relations, it maybe makes sense that I follow world events and politics pretty closely. Indeed, what I'm going to say to you today is informed by that perspective. But this year, I don't think you need to be a political scientist to be aware of what's happening in the world. Because let's get real for a second. It has been a rough summer, a really tough year, actually. There's the obvious headline-grabbing tragedies that are in all of our minds. Attacks in places like Dhaka, Nice, Baghdad, Lahore, Orlando, and too many other places to actually name. We have ongoing atrocities in Syria that we seem to be numb to until the next haunting image shakes us temporarily awake. There's the unmistakable rise of xenophobia and Islamophobia in many contexts. Closer to our context, we see the continued use of brutally and sometimes fatally excessive use of force against people of color with seeming impunity. There's the devastation unfolding as we speak in Louisiana, and fires that rage in California, consequences of our neglect of the earth. And of course, no matter where you stand politically, there's no denying the divisive and sometimes ugly nature of this ongoing presidential election. Heck, even the Olympics, right? I mean, that's inspirational. Everyone loves the Olympics. Even something as normally inspirational as the Olympics was overshadowed by problems and pests such as Zika mosquitoes and Ryan Lochte. I kid, Ryan, I kid. So it's easy amongst all of this to lose hope and to be fearful and anxious and pessimistic. You can understand the instinct to want to protect against the world out there, to be more closed and guarded, to be insular and isolationist, to build walls. We see it in the Brexit vote in Great Britain that happened earlier this summer, the resistance to giving shelter to refugees, escaping horrific violence. We see it in the suspicion of difference of various kinds and the urge to cling to an older order. Indeed, in many ways, and this is the crux of what I'm going to say to you, we are seeing a debate between two ways of being and two choices, between openness and closeness. The first choice, openness, recognizes the value of an open exchange of ideas, cultures, and people, of our obligations to others, of our interconnectedness. The second choice sees these connections as costs and burdens, and privileges our own interest over others. Both have their merits. The closeness option protects and isolates the self temporarily, but I think in the long term, it's a formula for stagnation. Closed societies and institutions don't grow and innovate. That's why few nations are lining up to follow the North Korea model of development and prosperity, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I was expecting huge laughter there, but I'm just gonna soldier on. The closeness option can't solve these tough problems I just mentioned, because that requires collective action, coordination, shared resources, empathy, and caring for others, as Claire said. It requires openness. You have a similar choice to make at DePauw between openness and closeness. Indeed, it can be tempting to escape the pressures of the real world and thinking about jobs and such from the relentlessly terrible news that I just mentioned, And what better place than college with all of its distractions, and DePauw with its busy social life and its beautiful campus to do so. We have a thing that we call the DePauw bubble. You'll hear of it soon enough if you haven't already. It's this idea that people at DePauw are insulated, or can be insulated from their surrounding context. The bubble can be very comfortable. You can feel sheltered and cocooned until the world comes barging in. You can also be closed in your attitude and mindset here. You could choose an overly determined path at DePauw and never allow yourself to deviate from it. I have a plan and I'm going to stick to it. You could take exactly the right courses and do only the required things and get your degree and get out of here. You can remain fiercely beholden to everything you know and everything you are right now and doing everything to stay exactly that person. But where's the fun in that, right? So here's a challenge and a plea to you from us, accompanied by the boom, by the way. Resist the impulse to close yourself off from change and challenges. Even as you settle into the rhythms and pleasures of life at DePauw and fall in love with it, and there's so much to love here, stay open. Burst that comfortable DePauw bubble occasionally. How can you do this? Well, for starters, you can try and just change the world. I can see you rolling your eyes. I actually can't, but I'm pretending you're rolling your eyes in the dark, because that's the ultimate cliche, right? You can change the world. Yet, when I think of the many accomplishments of students just like you, on campuses just like this, I don't think those words are a cliche. History is replete with examples, from the struggle against apartheid, the fight for civil rights, anti-war movements, to the campaign to stop collegiate clothing being made in sweatshops. These are just a few examples of the ways that college students, your age, contributed to changing the world. Today's students, including our own at DePauw, are at the forefront of pushing universities to divest from fossil fuels and act on other environmental concerns, in pushing for equity and justice for students who identify as minorities of various kinds, in asking for long overdue conversations about the inequities and power disparities in the structures that govern us. It's a crazy, tumultuous time, but a promising and potentially transformative one too. This faculty is deeply committed to these conversations and this work, and we're so excited for you to join us to be part of it. So we don't think it's far-fetched at all that you could affect real change, because we've seen it happen. But you don't have to be an activist to be engaged in open either. Small things matter too. Promise yourself you'll read a newspaper regularly. Get a passport if you don't have one already, and schedule a meeting with the Office of Off-Campus Programs to see how you might be able to take advantage of our extensive programs. Take a course completely and totally out of your comfort zone, like some wacky course, and that just doesn't fit the plan. That would make your family slightly mad. Venture off campus and get to know the town and community you're going to be living in. And I don't just mean Starbucks and Walmart. Promise yourself to truly listen to the experiences and perspectives of people very different from you, even if it temporarily makes you uncomfortable, as Claire said. That's fine if you make a mistake. That's what college is about. One early way to do this is to participate in our upcoming Day of Dialogue on September 28th that you'll hear a lot about. In other words, and I'm winding this down, do the opposite of what Britain did with the Brexit vote. Don't just stay on campus and your bubble. Leave, go see, do things. Challenge yourself to broaden your horizons beyond DePauw, even while you're here. This is a strange welcome, I know. Like on the very day you arrived here, I'm telling you to leave. But I do think in the students that I've seen here, the most happy, the most fulfilled students are not necessarily those that have the highest GPAs or those who landed the most prestigious internships or who the coolest, biggest presences on campus. No, I think it's those who use their time at DePauw to figure out something that matters to them and is meaningful beyond the confines of the college experience. They find, to quote that great thinker of our time, Justin Bieber, a purpose. All right, the Bieber reference is my cue to wrap up because I've lost whatever credibility I had with you. Is it too late to say I'm sorry? So, had to do that. So, I know, cheesy but true. So to end, thank you for being here today and for this wonderful, unambiguously positive, happy moment. We are going to savor it. And I hope you too will savor the next hours, days, and months of being fully immersed in the joys of the DePauw experience. And then after that, let's get to work. You see, there's a whole world out there, and we're excited to see how you shape it. Good luck.